Welcome back to the Celtic Exchange Weekly. This is Tino. This week I'm joined by James and Paddy as we once again cover all things Celtic. Paddy, took a wee while to get going at Hampden, but all good in the end. What was your initial response, or what is your initial response to yesterday's big win?
Yeah, I thought we came out pretty quickly, played some good football in the first few minutes, and then it just kind of got bogged down a little bit. St Johnstone weren't really keeping up with the pace of us, but they were kind of packing themselves back up at the defence, and it made it really hard to break down, to be honest. Could see a little bit of frustration, but sitting with the boys yesterday, we Tam was saying, if we get one, I think the floodgates will open, and it proved to be right. So well done there, Tam.
Between Celtic's first goal and Celtic's fourth goal in that first half, James, 12 minutes, an absolute blitz. We were speaking about the Kilmarnock game, obviously. Celtic were good against Kilmarnock, and it was 4 goals in 24 minutes to blow away Killie. With half that, with 4 goals in 12 minutes, Paddy's right, the game was dead at 1-0. It's absolutely dead at half time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, at 2 for me it was dead. Maybe not at 1, but at 2 for sure. And then half time I was. And fair play to St Johnstone. They'd played really well the first half an hour in terms of their game plan.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they've set out to do. It's a difficult thing for any team in the world to break down. Ask Barcelona. It's hard to do. I actually watched Hearts Aberdeen, and it was Aberdeen trying to do it to Hearts, trying to break Hearts down on the Saturday. It's just very difficult. So fair play to St Johnstone, but it's an onslaught. You need to be switched on every single second. You make one slight mistake, and they did. It was a poor ball out. Johnson's got onto it, and you're away, So, yeah.
Yeah, I think to be fair to St Johnstone, you're right. Within the, with the capabilities they've got and the personnel they've got, they worked very hard for that first half hour, Paddy. They were trying to close down. They were trying to restrict Celtic's opportunities. But on the few occasions they got the ball and had the opportunity to break, they just didn't have the answers. And I do think, as opposed to the game at McDermott Park a couple of weeks ago, the huge, expansive surface at Hampden Park, it suited Celtic perfectly. And I think sometimes I think we all realise that you can't go blitzing into 3-0 leads immediately. Sometimes you need to be patient. But I think Celtic played it well. And as you say, once the first goal went in, the rest was a real joy, wasn't it?
It was. And I think, yeah, you're right to touch on the first game as well. A few weeks back, I think you look at all the circumstances of that game, including the surface at McDermott. It's not the greatest. The part was good yesterday. There's a bit of zip to it, and I think it played into our hands big time. And it was about being patient, but this is what Rodgers has told us to be with a Celtic team, and I think we've seen it with many of his teams. He likes to wind and wear teams down, and I think that we once we got that first one, I think we upped it even more, and it took the wind out of St Johnstone's sail a wee bit. But credit to them. I actually thought they came out and gave a good account of themselves in the second half, and I tell you, I know we'll come on to the disallowed goal, but I felt for your man, because what a hit that is. That's some finish.
That's the thing that annoyed me most about the poor refereeing, is that boy's got one for his collection, and now he doesn't.
Exactly.
Great hit, but wasn't to be. Just in terms of stats, there's various stats down there. I think possession, it was something like 61% to whatever that is.
Wow. Is it a mathematician?
It's been a long day, Paddy. Holiday Monday.
You do the books at Rangers.
But 18 shots for Celtic to St Johnstone's 2, and that tells the tale of the tape. Before we get to the game, of course, you had that, let's call it a fiasco, this whole QR code thing. Absolutely seamless. Never.
Great technology.
I done the pre-match on Friday with Bridal. I'm like, this is going to be a nightmare. 50,000 folk. It was really straightforward. I had my ticket and your ticket on the app. A breeze. Were you the same, I presume?
Aye, we were fine.
I never saw one person around having problems with it.
I think the only person I seen have a problem was the steward at our gate. He was getting off his head like, "Queue there! No, there's other gates!" Absolutely screaming at people. You're like, there's half an hour to kick off, buddy. Relax.
Take it easy. But from a QR point of view, seamless. So well done to all involved there. I never ever doubted the technology. Well, I remember, quick shout out, myself and Paddy met a couple of folks yesterday. We met Jim Leslie in the Queen's Park Cafe. Really nice guy. So big shout out to Jim. I also met Desi Bradshaw in person. Desi's a guy that I've had a few ding dongs back and forth with on Twitter. He seems to take a different slant than I do, which is absolutely fine. But lovely guy in person. Great to meet Desi and Jim at the game yesterday, or after the game. Moving forward, Callum McGregor, the man on the screen right now, man of the match performance, James. Scored the opener. Really nice, tidy finish. Huge part to play in putting Maeda through for the second goal. And just a really good all-round performance by the captain.
Yeah, it was kind of the performance that encapsulated his whole season. He's been fantastic, and also with his goal contributions, kind of from the same position he found himself in yesterday. Great work from Reo with the layoff, and just watching the highlights back today, showed the skill and the patience of McGregor. pick his spot and tuck it away. But yeah, the whole game he was excellent.
Just on that, the patience, he just waited that extra split second till the defender committed himself. And it's easy when you see the camera angle behind Callum McGregor, but it just opens up and he clips it in. I thought it was a real composed finish, Paddy, but even beyond that, just a really good controlled performance in the midfield by Callum McGregor.
Aye, and I think when his two midfielders are at it as well, like the two in front of him, he comes out his own even more. He's not doing as much running. I thought Reo Hatate was excellent yesterday as well. Engels, quieter game, but he's still effective. Still effective enough. But if they do the pressing off the ball for Callum McGregor, he's lethal. And I thought very good finish, as you guys mentioned. The boys he's just waited for him to commit, and then he's picked his spot. Keepers are getting nowhere near it as well.
Yeah, you mentioned Reo Hatate, and he's absolutely next on the list. I think it's fair to say he's rediscovered his form at a really opportune moment in the season. He got his couple of goals last week. He's still holding out for that Hampden goal. He was speaking in the lead up to the game about how he's yet to score at the National Stadium. But a hat-trick of assists in the first half, James. Really clever assist, actually, for the first goal, the back heel. And that's just a player who's got that awareness. You know, he obviously can't see Callum McGregor in its truest sense, but he knows somewhere he's making that move. And that, amongst the other two assists, all added up to a really good performance by Reo.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that's not in doubt is Reo's talent. He's a sublime talent. It's just getting that consistency, and I think he finds that elusive, you know. So maybe this is the run he goes on where he's just very consistent for the rest of the season, picks it up next season if he's here and runs with it.
I think he's looking a bit leaner.
Maybe.
I thought yesterday when watching him moving about, I think he needs to, for me, Hatate needs to learn how to hold the ball in a bit more, especially like if you're coming up against a midfield they're going to try and get possession of you, they're not letting you come onto them, they're trying to get you on the counter-attack. I think sometimes that's where he can get a bit startled.
Yeah.
I need to see a bit more from him in those moments, and especially games against Rangers, he's been caught on the ball a few times. But yesterday, I think that's what he's been told to work on. I think he's looking a wee bit more sturdier, and hopefully, he's been told, get yourself ready for this game on the 4th of May.
Yeah. Do you think he'll be here next season? James is obviously leaning towards that. And do you want him to be here next season?
I think he'll be here. I don't think he wants to be here.
Do you want him to want to be here?
I do. Yeah. I think he's a great player.
I think he's a real talent, James, and it is frustrating because he can turn in performances like that one at Hampden, it's just a real joy to watch. And he's a real talented footballer. He tries the more difficult things. He'll try that pass that others won't. And when things like his assist for Callum McGregor comes off, for example, it's brilliant to watch. But maybe too many times this season we've seen the other side of Reo where it's not quite clicking for him. I'll ask you the same question: do you think he'll be here? Do you want him to be?
Can he be improved upon? If you look back on his season, this season, yes. Can he be the one that improves upon it? Yes. Might it be someone else? Also, yes. Options are open.
Oh, confused. So, do you want him to stay?
No.
You don't want him to stay?
I think it can be improved upon.
You mean Celtic can recruit better than that? Okay, that's interesting. I think he's a real class player. And I suppose it depends if we could guarantee the best version of Reo.
That's why I want him
moving forward. Okay, that's interesting. But interesting to see. Maybe ask this question just to listeners on the social and otherwise where folks stand on Reo just now. We've certainly got a 3 and a bit year body of evidence. We've seen a lot of Reo Hatate, good, bad, and indifferent. I wonder where fans stand on him right now. What the general consensus is.
I'd say a lot. We're probably a little bit 50-50. But I think from the turn of the year, actually, I think he's been pretty solid up to that Rangers game that I mentioned in March. I think there'll be maybe 60-40 towards him staying, I would say.
That's bad odds for a player, I'd say.
There's no better way to increase those numbers than a big performance at Ibrox and a big Scottish Cup final performance.
Need to win the league first, but I'm sure he'll do that at Tannadice.
Yeah. Another guy who divides opinion at times is Adam Idah, again the man on the screen. He scored Celtic's 3rd goal in the day, and he half apologised. You can kind of see it from the image just now, but he half apologised to fans. You'll have seen from the highlights. It's less easy to see that at the game, but when you watch the highlights back, whether it was last night or this morning, he's almost doing the pause up type thing of, forgive me, all is good. And that's in reference to the fact that it looks like, I've not actually seen the video, but he get caught, quote unquote, being sick in a taxi on Wednesday or Thursday on his day off. and it caused a bit of a stushy. Brendan Rodgers was asked about it at his press conference on Friday. He absolutely played it down. He said, I've got no problem with Adam Idah, his attitude, what he brings to the party, but it certainly raised a few eyebrows.
Rodgers also confirmed in the build-up yesterday that he actually wasn't sick as well. Apparently it was a part of a gag, like a joke. So he's...
The flaw thickens.
He's
Kid not to be sick.
doubled down. Adam wasn't sick, apparently.
But there might be what Rodgers is saying that way and what he's saying that way.
Oh,
in the
100%.
dressing room.
That's what's happening.
I don't even be in a position where you got for that, you know.
Yeah, I think that like all good managers, he'll protect his players when speaking publicly. There might be different conversations behind the scenes, but it certainly seems like he's got a lot of faith in Adam Idah, and the ultimate test of that is picking him in your team or not. And he made the decision. He could easily have gone, with other choices up front, but he put Adam Idah in from the start, and he's got that goal. He's also played a key part in the second goal. I actually think it's really good from Celtic's point of view. Adam Idah comes short, not too deep. He comes short, and it's Cameron Carter-Vickers who plays the through ball, cuts right through the midfield. It's a really clever pass through a couple of St Johnstone players. Idah bounces it to McGregor, who breaks through, plays it to Maeda, and you're 2-0 and you're good to go. What did you think, Paddy, of his overall contribution?
First 20, 30 minutes, I think he was cutting a bit of a frustrated figure, but...
Still drunk.
might have been, just sweating it out. He's a tough one for me now because I do think he has what it takes. I do think he has it in the locker. I'm just a little bit dubious on his own self-belief. And I think, was it yourself that spoke about John Hartson coming in with him?
Aye.
I can kind of get that. I think he needs to believe in himself more. I think you take the weight of that 9 million value, right, and that's on his shoulders 100%.
I think so.
The way that it's dragged out through the summer, and then we finally get him, and he's a Rodgers man, as I said to you guys last night when we were talking about him. But Celtic have put a lot of money into him in the hope that if Kyogo was to leave, this is going to be a main striker. I don't think we spend 9 million regardless.
You're concerned that we spent 9, and now in the wake of Kyogo's absence, he's not become the established number 9 just yet. That's a concern for you?
He's not become the established number 9. Our worry is that we were short in January, which we still are. We've relied heavily on Daizen Maeda since Kyogo left, and Maeda thankfully has showed up. Adam Idah has had the opportunities, and he hasn't. I think that he's done great for Celtic last season. I think that his return this season for being that impact striker has been okay. Mm-hmm. But it needs to be better, and this is where the self-belief side needs to come in. Yeah. I think he has it in the locker. I just don't think he believes he does.
Yeah, I think that would be a fair assessment. Adam Idah has done fine, but could and hopefully will do better, James. His goal return is now 15 for the season. Maeda, by comparison, is 33. The goal yesterday against St Johnstone was Idah's first goal, let me check, since he scored in a 2-0 win over Hibs in the quarterfinals of the Scottish Cup back on the 9th of March. So over a month without a goal there. What do you think? I suppose, again, what do you think of his overall performance yesterday and bigger picture stuff with Adam Idah this season?
It's somewhat similar to Reo in that he's 100% got the talent, not in doubt. And there's a consistency and there's a mental aspect to it. I think, for me, he's a player. We need to give him more time. I'm plenty of patience for him at the moment, but I think there will come a time when that patience for fans starts to run out. I think he's maybe got another year of that before people would start to go, well, you need to deliver, but his talent for me is not in doubt. I think we're going to have another Kyogo type striker, maybe somebody a bit more robust Rodgers would like, but he definitely wants 2 strikers of the same kind of calibre, like top draw strikers. One of them's going to be the bench all the time. And it's really Idah's job to prove that he should be the guy starting. But he gives us a different dimension as well. His physicality is huge for us. I think he's got quite a lot of intelligent off-the-ball play. You see the work he does dragging defenders as well. And it was apparent yesterday in 1 or 2 of the goals, as well as his awareness to be in the right place to get his. We had a bit of a robust beer garden debate with Stevie, our friend, yesterday, and he was saying it was a tap-in, and your point was you need to do a lot of work to be there for the tap-in. And I think he does that.
Tap-ins are the end product of a lot of movement and a lot of work before you get to that stage. So, now and then in football, you will get goals. It's just a guy getting lucky, right place, right time. There was no luck about Celtic's third goal. I actually think they're all really good goals, right up to Jota's, which is an excellent goal, team-wise. But yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into being there for the eventual tap-in. But I can understand criticism from guys like Stevie and others who aren't sure on Idah just yet. Let me ask you the question. the price tag is what it is, right? It exists. Celtic paid 9 million-ish for Adam Idah. Can we ever just take that off the table? Because I think he's been judged as a £9 million player. So anybody you speak to that's not a fan will be like, he's never worth 9 million. Okay, if we'd paid 2 million, would you be happy with what he's putting in then for 2 million? Do you know what I mean? If you can just judge it solely on the performances and forget the price tag, does that sway people's thinking? Are people getting too bogged down? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to us here right now if we paid 900 grand. He's the same player. What do you think of how he's being judged?
Some deals come with extreme value and some come without value. Bernardo, extreme value there. That was excellent work from Celtic. I would say much less so on Idah. The price tag on Idah wasn't because of Idah or Norwich. It was because of Celtic's poor negotiating. I thought they were really poor with that, and I think they were poor with Engels as well. Those were £6 and £8 million deals that, for various reasons, we allowed ourselves to get cornered, and they're up to 9 and 11, you know. So, can people shake it? Well, I think it's just a stick to beat him with. I think if he's flying, you're going, oh, he's a £9 million bargain, we'll sell him for 30. But when you want to criticise him, you're saying, oh, he's not worth 2. So, I think it's a handy stick to beat him with, but it should be just judge him on his play alone.
Someone put a poll out, I think it was a poll on Twitter during the week, and while I'm on that, Stevie says that I put too much weight into the world of Twitter.
You do.
Twitter this, Twitter that. But it's a reasonable gauge.
Guys, I think Stevie's getting your heat.
Stevie show.
But it is a reasonable gauge, or at least a place to see some opinions. And yeah, you can't, if you take your, I don't know, what am I trying to say?
Come into the real world.
Aye, if you think Twitter's the real world, then you're in a funny place. Anyway, made an arse of that. But to continue, there was a Twitter poll that was out, and it was basically saying something along the lines of, if you got offered 6 million for Idah in the summer, would you take it? Would you?
And do what with it?
Buy some more footballers.
Right. So you're going to have to buy someone else who, is in the same position then as Idah was.
The question is, do you
ago?
cash in? Have you spent too much? Can you recoup 2/3 of that? Would you take the 6 million and put it down as a bad buy and move on to the next?
I think you're premature on that if that's your thinking. I think you just give this lad time, give him time with the coaches. I think he'll deliver. If you go and take that rash decision, take your 6, you go and buy an Idah type, and then you need to coach him or hope he hits the ground running or so much. So you're gambling with the unknown versus, for me, a talent that needs coached.
Do you know who's an Idah type? Adam Idah, and we've got him. He's here right now, so we don't need to speculate. What do you think, Paddy? Would you take the 6 and run?
No, I still think he's got a point to prove. I think for me, I was having a little think about this the other day as well. Like, obviously we were up, well, myself mainly was up in arms about the way we handled the January window in terms of coming out of it lighter. We had the debates about Daizen Maeda. I was of the opinion that we just need to wait and see. We shouldn't have been in that position. Now, it's been absolutely brilliant to see what Daizen Maeda's went on and done this season. 33 goals, as you mentioned, probably going to get the 40.
I think so. 6 games to
think,
go.
Aye, absolutely. There's a few hammerings left.
Yeah.
But for me, the big thing, we'll see. The big thinking is in the summer, and it's going to be the biggest indicator to what the manager wants and the manager believes of what he'll get out of Adam Idah, is whether or not we prioritise a new striker coming in or we prioritise a new winger coming in, and the money spent on those players. I think that's the massive part, because if it's a low ball offer for a third choice striker, it's going to be Daizen Maeda and Adam Idah rotating next season for Celtic up front, and then we put the money out into a winger. Or if we get a backup winger for Daizen Maeda, then he's on a sugarly peg, because they'll go and spend money on a striker.
It's going to be really interesting where the focus is. I think, to your point in recent weeks, James, it's going to be a busy window, and it should be. There's got to be a few ins and a few outs, and I think we asked the question, I think it was in the WhatsApp group during the week, as to where the priority position should be. I think a defensive midfielder who either now or over a season or so becomes Callum McGregor's natural successor is one of the most important positions, at least. But a striker's got to be in the mix there somewhere as well, James, particularly given the manager asked for one.
Yeah, that's not even up for debate. Rodgers asked for something in January and didn't get it. You can't let him down in the summer.
But the question is, what is he looking for, though? That's what I'm asking. So if we are adamant that we need to get a striker, when actually we've realised, hang on a minute, Daizen Maeda can fill the boots, and what we were looking for is Adam Idah going to step up and play at the same level as Daizen Maeda? So therefore, are we going to go in for a third choice striker, the likes of or
first choice?
So he's going to be playing second fiddle again.
Yeah, it's his job to try and take that jersey, but we're signing a first choice striker in the summer.
So is that a failure on Celtic and Brendan Rodgers? That's my question
to
here.
Coach him
for Adam Idah and spending £9 million for someone to sit in the bench. We can't do that at Celtic.
I think it's just the way it has to be. I mean, he wasn't signed to take Kyogo's jersey. Kyogo went for different reasons, so Kyogo needed replaced in his own right.
But they knew Kyogo wanted to go last summer, hence the reason, actually just go for the £9 million.
This is your disappointment, Paddy, because you felt that spending 9 on Idah meant that eventually, when Kyogo moved on, and it maybe came sooner than we thought, eventually he would become the pretender to the throne, the new number 9. And he's not. I think he's had a perfectly decent season, but he's not set the header alight either, and he's not absolutely staked his claim to say I'm your guy. The very fact that Daizen Maeda continues to be picked as the first choice striker. I know he started in the wing yesterday, but if push comes to shove and you have to pick one as your striker, Maeda's getting the nod at the moment.
I would say so. It has been nice seeing Idah coming in. It's been the last 2 games he started up front. I want to see more from him. I do think he is as a professional, to make it at this club, you need the mental side. You need it in check, and I think we're owed a bit more from Adam Idah.
Aye,
I think so. It remains to be seen what the long term will be. I'm hopeful in the way that you are, James. I think there's definitely something there. There's a talent, and 15 is a decent return. Although at Celtic, you'd maybe be hopeful that your main striker would get more, but he's not been the main striker as agreed. It remains to be seen what happens between certainly now in summer and further beyond. We'll watch closely to that one. During the match preview that myself and Bride done on Friday, one of our channel members, Patman67, stated quite correctly that Celtic would win 5-0, but he was quite firm that Adam Idah wouldn't score. I thought he would score, and we agreed to a £25 charity bet on it. So
nice.
There's a brilliant charity called Aware Scotland. They were set up in Glasgow in 2022. Their aim is to provide young people who are most in need with unique experiences which help them to build confidence, engender lifelong friendships and create lasting memories. And you can donate directly at awarescotland.co.uk. I'd recommend that anyone checks them out in general, but if Patman wants to jump on there and send them £25, that would be great. If you're struggling there, just drop us a wee note, tino@thecelticexchange.com. But thanks to Patman for that one and for being a good sport with regards to the bet. Before we kick on, I'm going to introduce a new feature. It's a short quiz, a quick fire quiz, 5 questions. And previously we've had the Mystery Cell, we've had the Path to Paradise, a few other features, but this time we're going to test your Celtic knowledge and the knowledge of those listening at home. So quite simply, as I say, 5 Celtic questions. Write down your answers, don't call them out, and we'll revisit the answers at the end of the show. Okay, lads, are you ready? 5 questions, as I say. Answers all revealed at the end of the show, but question number 1, in which season did Celtic first compete in the Champions League group stages? When was our first participation in the group stages of the Champions League? Question number 2. Paddy, you ready? You're struggling already?
No, I'm fine.
Question number 2. In the 2022-23 season, which was Ange Postecoglou's second season at the club, we were drawn in a Champions League group with Real Madrid, RB Leipzig and Shakhtar Donetsk. How many points did Celtic accumulate in the group? So 6 group games, the old format as we know. And those 2 games against Madrid, 2 against Leipzig, 2 against Shakhtar. How many points did Celtic pick up altogether? Question number 3. Celtic currently have 7 players who have reached double figures in terms of goals for the season. Maeda, KUHN, Idah and Kyogo are 4 of them. Who are the other 3? So Maeda, KUHN, Idah and Kyogo are 4 of the 7. Who are the other 3 to have reached double figures in terms of goals?
Tell me the ones that have scored again.
Maeda, KUHN, Idah, Kyogo. Moving on, number 4. Including caretaker managers, how many Celtic managers did Lubo Moravcik play under? So including caretaker managers, how many in total did Lubo play under? Are you faring, Paddy? Confident?
All good. Question 3 threw me a bit. But
aye.
I drink Miff would do this. He fancies himself at these kind of things, doesn't he? Last one. Question number 5. James Forrest has picked up 25 trophies for Celtic, putting him in joint first position with which club legend? So James Forrest, 25 trophies for Celtic, currently in joint first position with which club legend? And as I say, answers to all 5 questions will be revealed at the end of the show. If anyone's got any good suggestions for a name for this feature as well, let us know. Drop us a note on the socials or tino@thecelticexchange.com. We'll give you the answers as we get to the end of the show. How'd you go on, James? Feeling good?
Need one more for question 3, but yeah, I've scoosed the rest of it. Aye.
Scooshed it. You can scribble it down as we're chatting. I mentioned James Forrest there, Paddy, in the last question. His wait for a goal continues. Obviously, he's targeting a goal in 16 consecutive seasons for Celtic. He had a good game yesterday, I thought, but he never quite got the goal. How do you think he done against St Johnstone, and how big a part does he have to play between now and the end of the season?
I think the goal will come. He's maybe going to trial it mad, so he maybe just needs to take his time with it. Thought it was a penalty yesterday.
I didn't.
I did. I thought he's wiped out at first, and then he kind of keep himself up, and I think they went with the second bit of play on the fall down.
I'll be extremely fair. It was a penalty, but Hatate's offside and blocking the goalie for the second goal. So fair's fair.
Okay. You think so?
Yeah, definitely. I watched it back quite detailed today. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. He's definitely obscuring the goalie's view.
Right.
So, but it was a penalty. He's taking him out, absolutely taking him out. You know,
who's taking him out? The one with the forearm, or before that?
He to ride a challenge, and that's put him left. And the boys come in. It's a forearm in the neck, and the boy's nowhere near the ball. And see if it's anywhere else in the pitch. That's a free kick.
I don't think every bit of contact has to be a penalty. I thought there was light contact. I don't think there was enough to go down. I didn't think so at the time. I've watched it back. I don't think so now.
Well, you're wrong.
Okay, yeah. I'll accept that. Paddy, if it was a penalty, we've seen a wee bit of, I don't know, professional sportsmanship before it. You know, Idah takes the ball, Hatate's protecting the penalty spot. Do you think, I suppose we might never know, but do you think Idah himself was going to take it? Was he going to toss it to Arnie Engels, the usual taker? Or was he even going to go to James Forrest, any take on?
I think Idah was taking it.
Think so?
Aye, I do.
Is he the number one taker then when he's on?
Must be.
Engels is.
But is it been the case that Engels has often been on when Idah's not been available on the bench?
I mean, he was last year for a period until he missed, you know, and he put a few away that were really important as well.
It's pretty impressive.
Put a good one away in the League Cup final as well.
Hibs as well.
I think he would have taken it. And listen, I don't think there's any sentimentality there. I don't.
Got to be ruthless. So
at 4 up, I'd have been sentimental enough to get let James go.
He's already been in trouble this week once.
Guys have all got individual targets as well, so I'm sure Adam Idah would like James Forrest to get his goal. He wants Adam Idah to get 2 goals, more importantly.
His agent will be saying, don't you be giving up penalties?
Yeah, I think you've got to be more ruthless when it comes to that. Penalties aside though, James, what about James Forrest's overall contribution? I thought it was another mature performance, retains possession very well, and absolutely played his part in the win. Yeah,
I thought he had a great game, but I would say it also showed why he is an impact guy these days. That 60 minutes of that was tiring for him, and he wasn't. In the first 60 minutes, you need that explosive pace when we were getting kind of blocked out with 2 banks of 5. You're really looking for a winger to commit a striker, and that's just not James's game. I don't really know if it ever was that much, but it certainly isn't these days. He's more of a retain the ball, intelligent passing, always available for a pass himself, rather than, because in the first half, he was right in front of us where we were sitting, and you're just saying, go at that defender. I want my wingers to be going at defenders here, and he wasn't. So I think it's just passing the time, and he's better for the last 30 than the first 60.
Just well I remember, I queued for 10 minutes for a pie. 10 minutes in the queue.
No pie.
Gets to the front of the queue, no pies. Oh, okay, what food you got? None. All right, 2 Mars bars, please. And that was it.
And a can of Coke?
No Coke. No fizzy drinks left. It's like it was a surprise to Hampden Park that, I think, what was attendance? 43,000 confirmed on the day. Big gaps, like that's another debate for another day, why there was big empty sections. But 40-odd thousand folk,
41.
And they didn't think, might need some food for those folks. It's just Scottish football all over again.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? So just an aside, James, sorry I get distracted there. But yes, James Forrest, he eventually makes way for Nicholas QUICKFIRE in the 64th minute. But what do you think, Paddy? I've mentioned a few times now, it's a different James Forrest we see these days, very different from the boy who broke through 16 seasons ago, but he's still got a part to play.
He does. He looked a wee bit more slower yesterday, I thought, at points, but then I think he did get into a bit of a rhythm during the game, and we've spoke about it before in the show, like just how well he keeps the ball close to himself, low centre of gravity. He's hard to get the ball off of as well, and I think that he's every right now. He's started the last 2 games, every right to say I should be part of this running and enjoy the rest of this season as well. But I think everyone in the team will be looking to try and get him on that score sheet at some point as well. It'd be nice if he could do it against Dundee United on Saturday.
Apart from Idah.
Apart from Adam Idah, but he's in trouble.
He's, I'm sure Forrest's a popular part of the dressing room. I think where possible, everyone will be doing what they can. I think he'll get the goal, but we'll just need to see. Time ticks on, 6 games left, so there's a wee bit of pressure on him. Hopefully, I hope he doesn't start trying too hard. You know, that's the worst thing. If he just plays his own game, the goal will come for James Forrest. I've mentioned Nicholas KUHN there, so both Jota and KUHN were once again on the bench, and that was obviously the big debate pre-match. You know, do they come back in after their, I don't know, was it a punishment for the St Johnstone game?
Hiatus.
Yeah, hiatus indeed. Jota obviously plays a big part. He scores the 5th goal in the day not long
good
after
finish.
coming on.
wonderful.
Really good finish. Great goal. It's a great move. KUHN plays that pass that he's been playing all season to Alistair Johnson on the underlap. You know, he kind of comes around the other side of him. He whips it across first time. Jota's doing what all good wingers should do, coming in at the back post, and it's in a controlled finish just to kind of half volley it into the net. Really good goal. Both really talented players, there's no doubt about it. But right now they find themselves out the 11. So I'll come to you first, Paddy. On forum, do Jota and Nicholas KUHN start for Celtic if it's cup final time tomorrow, if it's a Rangers game tomorrow, or do they need to now just bide their time and find their way back in?
They start. They really start. I think we know what our strongest team is, but what we were seeing for a little bit was just a lack of cohesion, a lack of commitment for a little while as well. St Johnstone being the real highlight of things that were kind of just not working for us. There is an element to be said as well that when we go and do the job pretty quickly with the guys that we've had in against Kilmarnock and against St Johnstone yesterday, is that's 2 brilliant players to bring on as well for that.
It's real quality, isn't it?
For that last half hour or 20 minutes. So especially with the bit between their teeth to try and say, hang on a minute, I don't want to be sitting on the bench. But is that good management?
Yeah.
I think it is.
You could certainly argue that, absolutely. Just quickly then, we talk about Celtic's best 11 at this moment in time. We do have a huge game at Tannadice on Saturday, James. We've got Ibrox not long after, a week after, cup final on the 24th of May. Big games to see out the remainder of the season. I'll tell you very quickly what I think is Celtic's best 11. You lads let me know if you think otherwise. Kasper Schmeichel, everyone fit, available, on form, right? Kasper Schmeichel in goals. Alistair Johnson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, I think now Liam Scales again, and Greg Taylor as your back 4. Midfield 3, I don't think there's been any debate about this throughout the season. Kalmak, Engels and Hatate. Up front, I think it's Jota on the left, Daizen Maeda through the middle, and Nicholas KUHN on the right. Is that Celtic's strongest 11 when everything falls into place?
I think Sloop is still a better left back than Greg Taylor.
He's a goner.
I think he's a goner, yeah. So, but if you're talking about talent, Kasper Schmeichel isn't available, still picked him. So I would, for on talent, I would pick Sloop ahead of Taylor, but the rest, absolutely no problem with that. I think that's the team as it is.
Well, just say it is a cup final tomorrow. Are you picking Sloop ahead of Taylor?
You can't, because his commitment's not there.
Forget all that. Just take everything aside. Just as I say, everyone fit and available and on form.
Fit and available and on form, so that not thinking about where his head's at or anything. Yeah, I pick Sloop over Taylor.
Yeah, I think Taylor's had to see off yet another challenge, and I think he's seen off the challenge.
Sloop is a better footballer than Greg Taylor. End of story.
No, but why has he found himself out? Maybe he's not playing well within the system. For those reasons,
you're not letting me using the argument that his head's away.
Okay.
I think Rodgers has told him that.
I think for me, it's 9 definite starters in the 2 positions that need strengthened in the summer are left back and left centre back.
Left back and left centre back. So I agree with the midfield, the front 3, but Scales you're not 100% on, and Greg Taylor,
or Trusty, or Greg Taylor, or Jeffrey Schlupp. And I know we're getting Kieran Tierney, brilliant, absolutely brilliant signing. But that's the 2 positions, and obviously we've got Tierney coming in. But speaking earlier on about what one of the priorities are, the main priority is to sort out the centre halves.
Big time.
Yeah, different folks will have different opinions. As I say, I think it's the defensive midfield position. A lot will say it's the striker, some will say it's left wing, some will say it's the backup left back, some will say left centre half. There's work to be done.
No one's wrong.
Is the bottom line. No. Yeah. We're not going to spend any more time on Greg Taylor today.
Right.
We've spent a lot of time.
You're writer.
Spent a lot of time on Greg Taylor in general. It seems to be that he's edging towards signing a new deal.
We'll debate that when we get it confirmed. Yeah,
all parties seem to have got together, and it looks like that's going to happen. But we'll see how it all plays out. I've mentioned Tannadice, and obviously that's huge now. So we're now days away from what could be a title party at Tannadice. We've mentioned last week a couple of big titles there in recent years. Title for Tommy in 2008 for Tommy Burns. Ange Postecoglou's first title was at Tannadice, and there's been big occasions there over the years. Paddy, how much are you looking forward to it, and what are you expecting from Celtic on the day? 12:30 kick-off on Saturday.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I think they like a trip up to Tannadice. We've always liked a trip up there. It's been kind to us in that sense. I think we go and we put on a professional display like yesterday. Same starting 11 is a question, but then does he maybe let Jota, after getting the goal yesterday, does he give him a little nibble at it next week? Or Nicholas KUHN, is he chomping at the bit to try and get himself back in line, especially for the game against Rangers coming up? Time will tell on that. I think whoever we go with, they'll be switched on. And that's where we've let ourselves down in the last few months, is that the full 11 have not been switched on. So, I think we'll want to win it. I think we'll do it. I think they've been brilliant this season. They've been absolutely brilliant this season, and credit to Jim Goodwin. I think finally something's kind of came good for him in the old management side of things. He has deserved it. I think they will want to keep pushing ahead. They've got a lot to play for, but so have we. We've got this league title to play for. So I don't think it'll be a walkover. I think it'll be a tough game.
The only team with nothing to play for in the run-in is Rangers.
Yeah,
Everyone else has got something to go for.
Absolutely.
Is there no part of you wants to just let the United have those points?
Absolutely not.
We head to Ibrox the week after for a wee...
go and win the league.
Get a guard of honour.
Aye.
Okay.
James Tavernier said so.
Do it off your own team. James, Paddy mentions Jim Goodwin. I think he's been to more Celtic games than you this season.
It wouldn't be hard.
I'll need to double check.
Scouting mission.
He was there again yesterday. I think he was there with his young lad with the Celtic scarf on, and good luck to him. But he's a good manager, and I'm pleased to see him. He seems a decent guy, and I'm pleased to see him do well. But Celtic need to be laser focused, and I think they will be. I think Brendan Rodgers seems to have got them back on track after a few bumps in the road. I think we'll be really switched on for this one. We need 1 point. I think we go and get all three, don't we? Yeah,
and I think it will show in the lineup when it comes out. Jota will be there, KUHN will be there for sure. I think they'll absolutely go for it early doors. A talented manager with a decent team, so it's not going to be easy to break that down. To get your best players on, change it up 60 minutes.
Someone asked the question, it was in the YouTube comments, and apologies, I don't have the name to hand just now, but he asked, can Celtic win all 5 post-split fixtures? So just a quick reminder, Dundee United at Tannadice this weekend, then it's Rangers at Ibrox on the 4th of May, Hibs at home, Aberdeen away, St Mirren at home on what in all likelihood will be Trophy Day. Paddy, we know we can win all 5, will we?
We should. We should. I've said it many a time, I'll continue to say it, but the best team in the league, we're romping away to this title. We've beat these teams before this season, so yes, we that should be the aim. Absolutely.
James, do you think the players will be switched on for that? The great motivator is what could be an historic occasion at Hampden Park on the 24th of May, Celtic targeting a 9th treble in our history. Everybody wants to be part of that. And if you down tools at any point in this 5-game run, between now and the final, you could find yourself cast aside. Brendan Rodgers has shown, whatever the occasion is, he can be ruthless. Yeah. And if someone's not behaving or training or acting in the way that he wants them to, they'll find themselves on the sidelines. And I think that, as much as anything, will keep the players fully motivated. Now, whether we win all 5 or not remains to be seen, but I think a very good version of Celtic will be coming to the table for each of these games.
Yeah, I mean, we showed yesterday that the team is clicking back into focus, back into their stride, just at the right time when there's important games on the horizon. But I think the real motivator is post St Johnstone loss in the league, where Rodgers said, I learned a lot today. And that should be telling every player that your position's under threat, that you go in the summer, you can't show me you deserve to be here. That's the motivator for all of them to say, well, I need to learn my lesson there and show this manager that I'm part of this team and I don't need to be replaced by a better player.
You've always, Paddy, got to have that feeling that if you're not at your best, someone can come in. And I think Celtic have done a good job in recent years for having a couple of good options in various positions. Maybe it's a wee bit light in some areas just now. You could debate that Greg Taylor's not had a real push for his position, but that's about to change in summer. And there's a few areas where we do need strengthening. But I think the players know, that there is jeopardy on their place. Nobody's guaranteed. I would say Callum McGregor and Daizen Maeda are nailed down starters. You could debate others, Carter Vickers, absolutely. But, there's others that will just need to make sure that between now and the 24th of May, they show top form. And actually, I'm getting way ahead of myself in terms of 24th of May. These players want to be playing on the 4th of May. Yeah. They really want to get out there and prove a point. I think Celtic, they'll be hugely and highly motivated for Saturday at Tannadice. There's another game just beyond that, and I think every player wants to be part of that too.
Absolutely, and then you look at the games beyond Tannadice. Obviously, Rangers been one of them, but there's still a lot of personal achievements. There's a lot of team achievements still to be had as well. I think we're going for a goals record. Daizen Maeda is on route for 40. James Forrest will be looking to try and get that goal to have the consecutive season as well. That they need to buy into that. They need to keep things moving. You can't just show up when you want to. And I think Aberdeen will be no mugs as well. Aberdeen in this final, they'll look for a very strong finish. They're pushing for third place to really solidify a strong start in Europe next season as well. Everything's to play for.
And the Scottish Cup.
And the Scottish. That's what I'm saying. But they'll need to keep that momentum going in order to be ready for that final come the end of May. So we just need to be on our toes. Yes, all right, the league's won. But as I say, everyone will be then looking forward to, am I going to be part of this team that plays in the final? And are we going to help my teammates get to the records that they want to get to as well? There's stuff to play for. And I think, as I say, we're better than every team. We should be winning every game.
Yeah, look,
who do you think will finish second
in the league?
In the league,
it's got to be Rangers, has it?
Has it?
What's the difference? Is it not 12 or 13 points?
15 to play for.
I think Rangers lose all 5.
Aye, I told you that yesterday. That's my bet.
We do know that motivation plays a huge part. I don't know how they motivate themselves for 5 dead rubbers, but they certainly won't see 4th and May as a dead rubber, and they'll want to keep up that recent form. They'll be well motivated for that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in due course. We'll revisit that after Dundee United at the weekend. But that's got to be a really interesting one from a tactical point of view, but also from a motivation point of view. Who wants it most will often win out in that kind of game.
Aye, absolutely. Listen, we look at the games that we've played this season. I'd probably say that the one where we really need to answer a few questions for me was the performance at Ibrox in January. Celtic Park's fine margins. Granted, they go and score the 3 goals. That's where we again need to look at some positions in this team. But we were on the ascendancy in that game, and actually we should have completed the comeback and won it. Ibrox was the one for me that would have questioned a lot of the players and their mentality in their bottle in a game like that, because their games are just not 4 times a season. That's the kind of mentality you need to take into those games and bring that same mentality to Europe as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, and their character was called into question, and that's something that no player will like. So we'll see what happens going into that one next week. We'll do a full, and detailed preview for that one, but I think the players will be well up for that and then some. James, just to finish up on this chat in terms of, we're talking about Celtic's strongest side there. We know at the moment Yang's unfortunately injured, and hopefully he's back before too long. And Kasper Schmeichel, who played a huge part, in the season to date for Celtic. There was certainly chat at different points whether he was Celtic's most effective signing of the summer. He's been huge in terms of certainly what he's brought to the party on the field, but there's no doubt he's a leader as well and a huge support to Callum McGregor. If he's back fit and available for the cup final, does he come right back in for Sinisalo, who, by the way, made a brilliant save from the kind of flicked effort.
Great effort as well.
And that's important. You've got to stay switched on. I think Sinisalo's learning to be a Celtic goalkeeper. It's a really good grounding for him over these last few weeks. He's learning that you can do nothing for long spells in the game, then you need to spring into life. And I think he's playing a huge part. It's really important in his Celtic development. But yes, does he step aside if Kasper's ready?
There's all the time in the world for Sinisalo to play big games, hopefully for years to come for Celtic. I think Kasper Schmeichel is the senior goalie and the more experienced goalie of the two. So on that alone, if he's had a bit of time to get a couple of games or at least one game under his belt before it, yes. If not, maybe not.
Yeah, Kasper come back in for you, Paddy?
Yeah, I would say so. I have been impressed with what I've seen from Sinisalo, and I think what I'm looking at, you're talking about like that Celtic way of learning in terms of being a goalkeeper for us, is that we've always cried out for a goalkeeper that's good with the ball at his feet. I think Kasper has been the first that we've really seen very capable of that with his distribution. Yeah. He's not scared to pass it short. He's very good at passing it long as well. Sinisalo seems to have been working on that, and I think that even points yesterday with the ball coming through, I think there was one in the first half, the ball came through to him. He was very, very comfortable, even with the oncoming runner. Very comfortable in getting rid of it, and actually he could have let it come into the box and collect it. He puts on the counter attack from his release ball to Callum McGregor. So want to see some more saves from him, but that's not his fault. Yeah. But that was a good sign yesterday of a good shot stopper as well. It was a very good save.
Yeah, Sinisalo, I think he's been good. I think he's stepped in well and more than capable as a backup goalie. And who knows, he might well be Celtic's number one moving forward. But yeah, I think you're both right. When Kasper's available and good to go, he'll step back in. Whether that's in one of these 5 post-split fixtures off the cup final remains to be seen. Last thing before we start to get your final comments for the week, lads, there's obviously the prospect now of facing Aberdeen in the final. I caught bits of that game on Saturday and it wasn't good.
Watched the whole
wasn't
lot, man.
fun to watch.
Whole lot.
120
Aye.
minutes of that. But Aberdeen eventually get through and good luck to them on doing so. I'd rather they went through than Hearts, if I'm being honest. And it's been such a funny season for Aberdeen. So good at the early part of the campaign, absolutely collapsed following that. They seem to have picked up a bit of form now and they would like to have made their way into the final. But what kind of challenge do you see that as being for Celtic, James? One that we're more than capable of, surely, when it comes to it.
Yeah, and I think momentum's a big thing here. You know, starting against Kelly, taking it into yesterday, romping through the split fixtures, taking you into a cup final. We'll be in such flying form, I would imagine then, that we should take care of that. You know, Aberdeen have seen what we're like when we're at our most ruthless at Hampden, and it doesn't really bode well for them. It's hard to judge them too much on Saturday because Hearts just were grinding. You know, there was no football to be played, but at the same time, lack of imagination, decent. You know, they've got decent levels of talent, but nothing really that imaginative. You know, and that's what you need when you've got that. You know, two banks of a bank of 5 and a bank of 4. It's been a funny season for them. I'd want them to use it as a foundation season and really start to build with Thielen and do more next year. But my worry with Thielen is that mentality and culture and all these things, they come from the manager, and he's allowed them to slip back underneath the levels they were at, and they've not really consistently picked that back up since they were flying, you know.
It's a funny one because it's the same manager that done so well for them that is then going on to do not so well. So it's quite puzzling, and I'm sure that's a challenge for Aberdeen and the board. But just in short, Paddy, cup finals are around about a month from now. What do you expect from Celtic on the day? It's a game we should be thriving on, isn't it?
Yeah, but it all comes from the next 5 in the league. I think that we do need to get ourselves a bit of momentum. It's crucial for a Celtic team. Belief getting into every game that we can wipe the floor with who we're up against, and I think that's got to be the standard. It's been raised now yesterday. You've got to replicate that in every game get in. It's very hard to do. Easier said than done. But I think a manager will say that's it. That's a level right there. And I think we'll do it.
Yeah.
We actually never touched on this, and apologies. I've pushed ahead here with the chat about Dundee United. As much as I'm looking forward to it, they really need to have a word charging fans £42.
Yeah,
it shouldn't even be up to them. This should be your league that says say you've got a tolerance of X%, but just clearly ripping off fans.
It's a disgrace.
Yeah, poor form.
What would a ticket usually be for somewhere like that?
Well, of late, the last few seasons, it's been creeping up to 33, 34.
And it's 42 for
and
this.
I think a few fans would expect to maybe 35, 36 because it's a big end of season for them, but they're apparently selling concession tickets for half price to get the stadium full. You're charging working class fans £42. I just think it's a disgrace, and we get this argument every time about Celtic Park and the away end and the prices that we charge and all the pillar. There's pillars in every stadium in Scotland.
Yeah.
Have Celtic got an increased allocation for Saturday, Paddy?
I've got the Jerry Kerr and the shed like we do for the majority of the times we go to Tannadice, and that's not changed this time.
But just paying more. Yeah. I agree. We'll debate it on another show, but I agree some of these things should be standardised. You know, there was a big campaign. Was it a kind of 20s plenty campaign?
Plenty, yeah.
And that was kind of like what away tickets should have been held at for every fan, all away fans, you know, across the board. And yeah, it does feel like, you know, regular fans have been priced out. It's steep, and Celtic fans will go and pay it. And these clubs know that, but it then maybe leaves some people short elsewhere in their lives, and that can't be right as well. Definitely a bigger discussion to be had. But from the on-field point of view, in terms of what lies between now and 24th of May Cup final, very clear for Celtic. 5 different challenges in terms of the post-split fixtures, and then one big challenge to get that historic treble, as I say, 9th historic treble on the 24th of May. Lads, I'm going to get to the section that I know you've all been waiting for, Paddy. You've grabbed that pencil for dear life. We'll get to the answers
Using it as a talking point.
The quiz. So we'll revisit. So as you heard earlier on the show, 5 quick-fire questions, quick-ish, and we've now got the answer. So question 1, in which season did Celtic first compete in the Champions League group stages? Paddy, what you got?
2001.
Yep, 2001-2. That was under Martin O'Neill. We beat Ajax 3-2 on aggregate to qualify for that one.
Was there?
You were in Ajax?
Yeah.
Nice.
First European away.
Nice.
In the 2022-23 season, as I say, Angie's second season at the club, we were drawn in a Champions League group with Madrid, Leipzig and Shakhtar Donetsk. How many points did we accumulate in the group?
Ooh, I've got this wrong.
Okay, what have you got?
7.
Wow, excited. Paddy's spot on with 2. Do you know what we got the 2 points from?
Both Shakhtar games.
Yeah, 2-1-1 draws with Shakhtar Donetsk. Celtic currently have 7 players who have reached double figures in terms of goals for the season. Maeda, who's got 33 goals, KUHN, who's got 18, Idah's got 15, and Kyogo had 12 before he departed. So there are 4 of them. Can you name the remaining 3?
I struggled with this, and I've just guessed for our midfield 3 stars.
Your midfield 3 stars, aye.
Yes, Calmac, Reo and Engels, all on 10 goals each. So interesting to see who maybe steps forward between now and the end of the season. Including caretaker managers, how many Celtic managers did Lubo play under?
5.
5 or 4?
5. Eric Black.
No.
John Barnes, Ken Dalglish.
Black was assistant.
Benglos.
Yeah. Benglos signed him. John Barnes then had him. Kenny Dalglish temporarily. And Martin O'Neill. That's your 4.
I went 3 because, in my opinion,
what's it now?
You've written 4.
4.
My opinion, the Barnes Dalglish was a partnership.
No.
So,
well, just tell me the number you've written.
3.
Wrong. Right? Number 4 is the correct answer.
Okay.
Finally, and it's a topical one, I guess, James Forrest, he's picked up 25 trophies for Celtic, putting him in joint first position with which club legend?
Lennox.
Bobby Lennox. And as we know, James can reach 27 by the season's end, but at the moment he's tied with Bobby Lennox, who of course has got the big cup in his locker. James, what was your score?
80%, 4 out of 5. I put VG.
Paddy?
It's not out of 5, is it?
How many you got?
Is it out of 5?
Are you ticking the name? Are you not doing the individual names?
No. Wait,
no.
If you
out of 5,
you can do it.
Out of 4 out of 5.
Do you want a point for each name?
Absolutely.
So both 4 out of 5.
You can do it fine margins.
Fair
here.
enough. So nobody stepping out. They're both 4 out of 5, both 80%, as James says. But let us know how you got at home. Send us a message. We'll put a post out on the socials and let us know how you got on there. As I say, if you've got any quirky or catchy titles for this new feature, we'll repeat it between now and the end of the season. We'll see how it goes and we'll kick on from there. As I say, Miff will enjoy this kind of thing, so hopefully
call it
back.
Tino's last attempt at finally winning something.
It's not quite catchy though, is it? James, your final comments for the week.
Yeah, so it's they've got a grip it. You know, we were kind of just a bit off the boil for a couple of weeks there, maybe even just since Bayern, and they've shaken it off. I thought the football yesterday was outstanding. It was a beautiful day at Hampden. The fans were in great form. Rodgers sent the team out to play football. St Johnstone put up a good fight, and we got there after the first half hour, and it was blazing from then on in. And then to bring on the flair guys and Jota and KUHN, just a great day out. And it sets us up so nicely for the end of the season. You can just see Calmac now in the dressing room just telling them, look, it's 6 games to go and you're going to be, club legends or part of history, all this kind of stuff. So it's set up nicely.
And it's so important to have guys like Calmac that have been there before. You know, there's several teammates in the dressing room that have also been alongside him, whether it's Carter Vickers, Hatate, Daizen Maeda. Bengals hasn't been there so much, guys like that. And Nicholas KUHN's not done so much of that. Adam Idah not so much, So these guys will thrive on the experience that Callum McGregor's got to hopefully help us go over the line. Paddy, your final thoughts?
Yeah, I think listening to Rodgers as well before the game, he spoke about when he first joined at Celtic, and it was he was told Hampden was a bit of a hoodoo ground, one to watch.
15 for 15.
And I loved his comments yesterday. He said that he spoke to that changing room back in 2016 and said, well, sorry to tell you this, but it can't be because we want to win trophies and we're going to be here and we need to win. And I think, that's 15 for 15, as you've mentioned there. That is the mentality from an elite manager. It wants to continue that record and keep these players moving and looking forward to what the next thing is. It's been a nice boost the past couple of games, getting the goals that we've scored, and I think that we as fans needed that as well, just a bit of jolt of excitement, get us ready for the run-in, and really excited for the next few weeks. Yeah,
and 10 goals in 2 games tells you that they're back on track, and Brendan Rodgers, that frightening record, 15 wins out of 15 at Hampden, surely the best record in Scottish football, over the years. We'll need to check that, but that's incredible. So yeah, seems to be that Celtic are back on track and no better time of the season than to do so. That wraps things up on this latest episode of the Celtic Exchange Weekly. Thanks to James and Paddy, and thanks to you for listening. We'll be back on Friday of this week with a full Dundee United match preview ahead of what could be a title party on Saturday. And remember, if you want to enjoy uninterrupted, ad-free listening to that one, as well as every episode we do, and you want early access to this Celtic Exchange Weekly, as well as a chance to support what we do here at the Celtic Exchange, then jump to the celticexchange.supercast.com or just click the link in the show notes for this episode. But until next time, have a brilliant week. We'll see you all again really soon.